I'm Laurie Jennings, live. We interrupt this regularly scheduled podcast to bring you breaking news as it happens.
And I'm Alex Vidal, president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching today, episode number 89 of The Closer Club, coming to you live from Florida Sun Studios located in sunny and beautiful Fort Lauderdale on the 17th Street Causeway. The woman to my left, Laurie Jennings, has taken the Closer Club to an entirely new level, raising the bar. Laurie.
Hey.
Wow, have you blown my socks off?
You did
Thank you so much.
Mr. Co-Anchor.
We did it, Mr. Co-Anchor.
How does this feel? You think you could be a co-anchor?
Yeah, why not? This is fun. I love this stuff.
There you go. I even did a little makeup on you. We got rid of the shine.
Can you see it? Oh, that's right. I got to be careful. We got to see it.
Guys feel funny doing that, but a little concealer, a little powder works wonders. And we got our mic check done.
Shoulders back.
Our shoulders back. Posture's good. Our outfits are even matching. You mentioned to me you were going to do a pink tie, and I thought, you know what? I used to match Calvin and Dwight all the time. Let's just look cohesive, right?
That's right.
There you go.
My God, the energy coming off of Laurie is awesome. I mean, I have to admit, and you guys know me by now, I'm very upfront about my feelings. I was nervous sitting down with a true professional. Nobody has ever cared so much about the podcast as much as you, Laurie. Okay. Again, we're in a full-blown studio, new studio room. And Laurie, talk to us a little bit about why we're even here to begin with.
Well, you said to me, we can shoot this anywhere, whenever it works out for you. You have a property at the W Hotel. You said we can go on the patio, but you have to worry about lighting, especially at 12 noon in the middle of the day. Light coming directly down on you looks terrible on everybody, shadows. You have to have the proper lighting of a studio, and the wind today, and the cold. So I said, hey, I know this guy named Scott Wilson. He owns this great spot called Florida Sun Studios. It's right here on the 17th Street Causeway. So he rents this place out to different networks, and they come here to do their interviews. And with the green screen behind us, look at this. We look like we've got the gorgeous ocean behind us. We can have snow behind us. We can do anything.
That would have been fun. We should have maybe cut back to snow and come back to this.
You never know what Scott might surprise us with.
Now,
but this makes you too think about the elements of producing your podcast.
That's right.
And my biggest suggestion to you, the next thing you're going to work on is a nice full screen graphic to open your podcast. It's going to say The Closer Club. Right. And it'll be full screen. It'll cover the whole screen. And then the next step is to animate it so that every one of your podcasts will start and finish with your brand.
Well, in my mind, we already have the #1 podcast in the world.
There you go.
Now it's just a function of getting there.
Exactly.
Now, Laurie, typically I start the interview with a guest backstory, but we're actually going to do it differently today. We should in the studio that we're in. Yes. Talk to us about going forward. You recently resigned, or not resigned, retired from Channel 10 to start your new endeavors. Talk to us about your endeavors.
That's right, and I've definitely stepped away from the news, but I have not retired. I think I'm busier now. My kids and my husband keep saying, I thought you weren't going to work so much. But this week alone, it's crazy. I was just having conference calls with some of the largest healthcare organizations in town on Monday. Today I'm here with you. Tonight I'm going to the United Way to Tocqueville Society Gala, which is some of the biggest givers in Miami-Dade, to recognize everything they're doing for the community. Then tomorrow, I am emceeing the Fairchild Luncheon at the Tropical Garden, and that is a gorgeous, huge luncheon right out under a tent.
I got married there, by the way.
There you go. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful place. We have to keep that green space for ourselves and for our community.
Right.
And then by Saturday, I'm emceeing the 90th anniversary of Lighthouse for the Blind with Virginia Jacko and all that they do there to help children who are visually impaired in the public schools and throughout our community. Adults too.
That's right.
So the schedule doesn't get quieter really, but in this next phase, I'm trying to transition from the news lady, right behind the news desk here, only giving you, the news of the day, to becoming a TV lady and in wrapping myself with some of the best that South Florida has to offer. So hopefully I'm moving away from some of the police blotter a little bit and some of the negative news to really focusing on the best of South Florida and some of the national and international companies that are based right here. I hope I can lend my brand and reputation to them and help lift up this community while also doing all my charity work.
And are you going to be doing more? You've coached me. We've been here for quite a while doing some coaching behind the scenes.
Sure.
Will you be doing that as well for if somebody were to look to you to hire you to do coaching and all that?
That is one thing everyone keeps saying. Can you do some media training? Can you help our executives? Can you help our coaches to really figure it out on camera? And that is something I think I'm really good at. I love doing that.
Phenomenal.
I love working with young people who get into the business. I love whether it's even Dr. Oz. I think I was
Sure.
telling you, Dr. Oz would come to Channel 10, and he didn't have any people with him. And sometimes there was no one to just kind of fix him up and touch him up and
Really?
get ready and make sure you're at the right angles, make sure the lighting's right, the suit looks good. I was picking at a little piece of
She
lint
was?
there. You know,
Got my makeup going.
there you go. I mean, everything has to be right. And once you get the right setting, we worried about the graphics. You didn't know what a lower third was, which is where they say our
Nothing.
name. Eric can probably bring up our lower thirds right now. But those are graphics that help fill the screen. There you
There they
go.
are.
So now you know those are lower thirds. They have a bunch of B-roll racked up from me in my news days. And it's important to bring those elements
Got it.
to the show so that you just pump up the production of it a little bit. And God forbid you don't want any dead air, right?
That's right.
Once it's live and you roll, you got to act like it's
There's
live.
no going back, no second
There's
takes.
no going back.
That's
And
right.
speaking of that, Eric, run a little B-roll for me. There you see some of the Channel 10 highlights. 15 years at Channel 10, and I'm really proud of that. I absolutely loved being with that group of people, and it was a huge part of my life. 21 years in all, because I came to Channel 7 in 1998. So I've been in town for 21 years. I was at Channel 7 for 5.5 years. Very hard to break away, but I always wanted to achieve the best. I wanted to be at the network level, and I did that. I got to MSNBC, but my husband and I had just gotten married. He was living here on Brickell Key. I was in Manhattan. He was going back and forth every weekend, and we're like, wow, this is an interesting way to spend the first year of marriage.
Sure.
And finally, life and pregnancies and family and his business, everything just brought us right back to Miami, and that was 15 years ago when Channel 10 said, we need you to be our main anchor, come back.
That's amazing. And it's such a small world, and we shared a little bit on the phone that when you were talking about the pregnancy and the twins, on how my wife actually took care of your twins in the NICU. So today was meant to be.
It was, it
was
really
meant to be.
was. And that experience in the NICU at Baptist here, I mean, that was something, that was life-changing.
It was.
Life-changing. When you spend 4.5 months in a hospital, leaving every night without your babies, and these beautiful NICU nurses and doctors are with you through the whole thing, and you literally think at times that your child's not going to make it. And they tell you only if you take your children home. If, never when, it's if. And a month in, our one son, Jake, we were told he wasn't going to make it. I mean, they brought a priest up for last rites. The nurses were all crying and hugging us. I mean, they said he is not going to make it through the night. They couldn't get a blood pressure on him. He was probably 2 pounds. They were born at 1.5 pounds each.
Wow.
They were not supposed to make it, and they did.
Now, how old are they now?
About to turn 14 in
14
a couple of weeks. Oh my
studs.
gosh, we are full on puberty, and
Oh, yeah.
it's a very interesting time.
I
I'm
hear ya.
outnumbered with my husband, 2 boys who are in full puberty. Did I say that enough times? It is a very interesting time, and then we have a new puppy who's also seems to be in puberty.
Wow,
so-
we have a lot in common. 'Cause
We do.
I have a 22-year-old. I went through that puberty.
Yes.
Then I have my son who's about to turn 13 going through his puberty. We have a new boy kitten that seems to be getting feistier by the day.
Yes.
And then we have my 10-year-old twins as well, who are starting to develop into
Yes.
tremendous characters.
So we're going to be having coffee after this to share
Absolutely.
tips, right?
Now, and I want to circle back to your history a little bit in real estate, but I want to touch upon the news a little bit. Now, I purposely stayed away from the news, even though I did, because I think of, as a filter of what's coming into my eyes and what eventually goes into my brain. You didn't have a choice because that was your profession. And yet you always reported the news, no matter how good or how bad, with such amazing energy and such amazing positivity. What systems or processes did you have in place to stay in that positive mindset?
Honestly, what makes you smile is the fact that there is good news out there. And when you as a newscaster become a face in the community and you can help others and they call you for help and you can be at their charity event or you can be at their school and you can be at career day, you know that you're having an impact, and that gets you through some of the more tragic negative news in your community.
Well, what I love most about it is find the positive in any situation. Love the fact that you even have an opportunity to be in a position of any type of position, whether you're reporting on it or in it, you're there, relish it for everything that you can. And always know, and what was the last one? I'm blanking a little bit here. There's 3.
That you can help people, and I think that you can make a difference, and that's where it feels good. And I'm blessed that now, even as I've stepped away from the news, that I still have built that brand in the community, and that's why I want to be out there and still be involved, because people still are calling me constantly to help them with a news story or help them with a resource in the community, or someone I run into at Publix or Whole Foods. They just need your help. So I think I'll always be the news lady, just trying to transition more to TV now.
So let me ask you a piece of advice. I had 3 things, and I'm drawing a blank because I'm nervous, right? I love this stuff. So I thought to myself, I wish I had a pen so I could have written it down. If I would have had a pen here to write something down, is that okay, or is that a major no-no?
It is, but just know that your hands and any kind of pen take the most attention away from your face and your voice and your message.
Interesting.
So when a newscaster is sitting here like this and they're constantly, imagine if you and I are talking and we're doing this, or if I'm doing this, all the attention is going on this piece of paper right here. Or if I have my hands here and I'm move it all, or if I have a pen, that's where the attention's going to go. Because everyone watching right now, they can see if I'm tapping my pen, or I'm using it, or I'm writing.
Okay.
So if you're in breaking news, which hopefully you won't be,
no.
but in a live
Unless
situation
it's great
like
breaking
this,
news.
right? But as you get more and more skilled with this too, when they roll B-roll of me, you would just scribble a little thought down, or you just think about one word that I said, and you just keep that word in your head. But I really love the fact that you came here with 6 questions. Look at him. He came with 6 questions all written out, and they're lengthy. And I think the key thing, as the executive producer of CNBC said to me when I got to fill in on the Brian Williams show years ago, he said, Laurie, you were awesome. We got such a great reaction. We had some of the highest ratings ever. People were so curious about you. They loved you. But next time, challenge yourself. He said, don't write out your questions. Know your first question, maybe your second, and let the interview flow after that.
Wow.
And I'm proud of you because you've done that. You have some very specific questions, but you're rolling with it. You're flowing here.
I am. I love it. I love this
And
stuff.
this is what live television is like. And you're very brave to be doing your podcast live and not try to edit it or fix it.
Nope.
It is what it is. And I think people relate to that the most. They relate to it. And if there's a little mistake, they forgive it because they know you're in breaking live coverage.
That's an interesting thing. You've talked to me about starting the camera from behind and walking around, and I do know that it is definitely more professional to start in front of the camera, but I like the rawness. So you're gonna have to coach me on getting over that rawness that it brings by starting the camera and ending it both always behind.
Yes.
So let's talk about live and high pressure. So you could be live on Channel 10 News or Channel 7, live, no pre-recording, or you could be out in the field filming a hurricane. There's some guy behind you doing, or maybe even coming up to you. What systems do you have in place, or how did you go about handling that high pressure that you're in?
Bottom line, I mean, never let them see you sweat, right? You just have to stay calm. You breathe. Instead of a bunch of uhs and ums, if things really get chaotic and producers are yelling in your ear, you just have to breathe. It's okay to take pregnant pauses and just share with the audience when something new is coming in. You probably tend to slow down a little bit because you can't rush if a lot of elements are happening. For example, Pope Francis came to the U.S. for his first North American tour. He was in D.C., New York, and Philly. None of the other anchors in town went to all 3. I did, and I was flying on those planes right after him. And I just remember standing on the mall in D.C. Calvin, my co-anchor, was in Cuba, where he had just been. So they were supposed to start every newscast. I'm Calvin Hughes in Cuba. I'm Laurie Jennings in the nation's capital. And we were supposed to go right into 2 hours of news coverage. I mean, from 4 to 6:30, really.
Wow.
2.5 hours, pretty much nonstop with a few commercials. I had no monitor that you normally would have live. I was under a little tent at the mall. I had all my knowledge, study. I'd seen video in different places of what the Pope had been doing that day. I had to just stand there, and I will tell you, 4 out of 5 times, Calvin disappeared. His signal just went dead with 3 seconds to spare. So suddenly it's, good evening, everyone.
You're back.
Welcome to Local 10 News at 6. I'm Laurie Jennings. The Pope has arrived today, and all you get is a producer in your ear saying plane, flowers, hat flies. Whatever happened to him, and I know from the producer what I'm generally seeing, but I have to be able to listen and speak at the same time. And I suddenly have to toss to all these reporters and anchors by myself and know what they're doing. And talk about flying by the seat of your pants.
Do you practice any of that? Like, do you practice the camera cutting out short, or is it just in the saddle?
No, it's in the saddle.
Okay.
And some of that comes back to something we talked about, and I posted on a Winner's Wednesday with Jordan Zimmerman. I said, if you can get your kids to learn some type of public speaking, acting, speech and debate, just get them on a stage in front of an audience, or get them in front of their class in front of an audience. That is the greatest skill I think all of our kids will carry with them through life.
Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel so strongly about that?
Because
Because that is one of my questions.
Of course, when you run your meetings and when you gather all your realtors together, you want to be, you have a few minutes to get their attention.
Right.
And you want to be casual and comfortable, but you also want to get a message across, and you need them to see you as a strong leader and someone who can run a quick meeting, can hold their attention, can get some thoughts across to them. You're not talking too much with your hands, but you're comfortable in your body. everything about your body language is going to relate to your staff, and you want them to follow you.
Correct.
And follow this news and follow you to become the #1 realtor in South Florida and have the #1 podcast in the country.
World.
In the world. See, this man is all about goals. I love it. But how can you do that if you're not aware of your body and how you're coming across to people? Our nice posture, right? And if you aren't confident as a speaker in front of 3 people, 20 people,
Sure.
or 2,000.
Have you ever thought about how many hours you've spent in front of the camera?
No.
No. So I figure the average, well, you've probably
Oh,
worked
my goodness.
let's do the math. Let's do the math
Oh,
real quick.
dear.
So you worked how many hours a night on air?
From 2 to midnight, and then on air from 4 to 6:30, and then 11 to 11:30, and so that's at
So
least.
figure, let's say 3 hours a night.
Okay.
Times, that's 15 hours, times, well, 50, I mean, you're talking about almost 800 hours, if I'm doing my math correctly.
A
year times
Plus
30
breaking
years.
news, where you're on for just 10 or 12 hours straight, and then with hurricanes, you're on pretty much 12 hours on, 12 hours off, almost nonstop for about 3 or 4 days.
So I think that's how you handled the high pressure. If you're talking about 4,000, 5,000 hours in front of the camera,
Yes.
there you go.
But, life experience is what changes you, though. And I hope I always had that spark when I started in news, and I got the sense I did was that agents came after me, and people helped push me along in the
Sure.
business, and people really saw a great talent in me and said, "You're network bound, go, go, go." And I got the feedback right away that's told me this was what I was meant to do. But also, as life goes along, it's experiences, and very often tragic experiences, like having children in the NICU, losing a child, losing a spouse, going through a cancer diagnosis. It's those things in life that make you realize, okay, none of this is really important. Our families,
Very
our
true.
life, and our health is important. That comes first. And so once you have that in mind, then all of a sudden you can become a more experienced television personality, and because you're keeping it all in perspective.
Got it.
And then, in my case, after doing a lot of that, after 30 years, I've decided to put my family first. And my dad's up in New Hampshire in the woods, my mom's in Connecticut. They both need my time, 80 and 88. My kids are about to turn 14. They're twins. I only get one shot at this, and they're gone to college in a couple of years. My husband has been such a trooper. From the minute we married, he would never have married a TV lady if he had known I was a TV lady. He figured that out after the second date.
And
he's
he's a great guy. In the few
great.
minutes we've spent together, he's an amazing guy.
He is wonderful, and he's such a huge supporter. And we support each other. And with kids, it was great, because he worked all day, I worked all night. We were 2 shifts passing in the night, but we survived, and we got these boys to where they are. But now, he's like, hey, you know what? I'm not pushing you, but when you could pull away, please do, because you can imagine, he's at bed at midnight, I come home at 1 in the morning.
Sure.
We have not physically even gone to sleep together in years, or had, a real evening, that nice hour at 6 or 7 o'clock at night that most couples can have a drink and go walk with the sunset and, chill out for 3 seconds before you go into
very important in a marriage.
homework nightmares, right? So experiencing those times right now is really, really great, and being able to be flexible and open my calendar and not have to worry about ratings months and NBA playoffs and hurricane season and time. There was so much in the year that I couldn't plan, and so that's
That's an
really
interesting thought.
great experience for me. So now I developed Laurie Jennings Live. It's my new company, it's my new brand, and I'm hoping that I can share that brand with the best of South Florida.
Now, I want to piggyback. I want to segue off that question, but I have another question first about Laurie Jennings Live and the Closer Club. But before that, with the public speaking, if the audience is watching this and they say, well, where do I go? Where can I become a better public speaker? Where do you know of some place? And this is not on here, so flying off the seat of my pants, where should they go, or what different clubs or organizations can they look to?
Well, it's definitely easiest for children, right, in school. And that's why a lot of us newscasters go out there and try to help kids. And in school, you have your debate program, you have plays, you have just opportunities. Kids need to raise their hand and offer to speak in class. And so in school is easier, just like internships, and getting started is easier because they can work for free.
That's right.
Once you're an adult, it is a little tougher. But that's where I come into play with a company like mine, where I can coach people, I can work with their voice, I can work with their posture, I can work with their on-camera presence. So there are coaches out there like me, and there are plenty of clubs that I see, especially on social media now, locally, where you can sign up for some of these public speaking tips, kind of couple hours here and there, and it's kind of fun. And I think they work it in with a few appetizers and some social networking.
A little alcohol to smooth the nerves a little bit.
Smooths the nerves, and there you go. I think it's worth it as an adult to just push yourself and maybe take it to the next level.
That's right. Every realtor should be involved in public speaking. Hands down, no doubt. Get involved, push yourself, get comfortable with being Uncomfortable.
Because realtors are you're trying to close deals.
Absolutely.
My mom was a residential broker.
Let's
She
talk about
still is in Greenwich, Connecticut. My dad's in commercial real estate out of New York, or he was. He was able to retire at 52, and I always thought, wow, what did he do right? But his financial background led him into real estate. I got to visit at his office a few times in New York City, Abrams, Benish, and Riker, and he loved closing deals. They would go in as a trio, and he was always the quiet one, the mysterious one. The other was the hard negotiator, and the other really knew the properties. And they made a power trio. And he was able to retire at age 52, still get some nice commissions coming in for 6 or 7 years, and he's living the good life in the mountains of New Hampshire. My mom is still in residential real estate, started with Wood Associates in Greenwich, Connecticut, eventually became Prudential, now it's Berkshire Hathaway.
I was at Prudential as well.
Really?
Many
and
years.
It's been 45 plus years. She'd kill me for saying that, but she still has her desk. And the young women and men in that office, yes, they can do it a little faster and better now through social media and internet access. But my mom brings 45 years of experience in her hometown.
That's right.
And you can't buy that.
You can't buy that. You can't buy the relationships that she's formed. She's probably created raving fans throughout that process as well.
Exactly.
So there's let's talk. So two ways, because you talked about your father on a team, and you talked about Laurie Jennings live, and I have questions for both. So let's pick it up. Let's talk about teams, and then we'll end with Laurie Jennings live. You actually credited when you went off air. You credited having worked with the best teams both on camera and behind camera. By the way, I haven't even looked at my questions. I do have to reference
Good for
that.
you.
This is the
Good
first
for
time I do
you.
this. What would you credit? What are some tips that the viewers can have? Because there's a lot of realtors on teams. What are some tips that you can give the viewers about being on a team or leading a team?
Leading a team, lead by example. That's the best advice I can give you. Be on time. Be ready. Bring your best, always.
Okay.
Betty Davis, our meteorologist, said the nicest words to me when I stepped away. She said, "Laurie, you make us all better." Wow, that just makes me cry. That was so nice, And even the four of us, Calvin, Betty, and Will and I, it wasn't always a ton of time. We were all raising the same age kids. There's not a lot of time to get together on the side. We all knew each other very, very well. But the more you can delve into that and really get to know your team, I know the promotions team at 10, for example, they make a point to go out to lunch every single weekday. There's one weekday a week where they go out to lunch. That's team building, and you do that. You mentioned you were just having coffee with Alex.
That's right.
I love it. And I think that is so important. So lead by example and get to know your team. Know what their struggles are, know what they're dealing with, and that's the way you pull out the best. And you have to be understanding when someone's child is sick or this is happening. But the more flexibility you can give people these days, especially in real estate, I think, where people go into that because it is flexible. It should be
supposedly.
flexible. I know. It's 24/7, and I know as a realtor's daughter, she was out, dealing with broken pipes sometimes and fixing things in houses. And I mean, realtors work so hard. Literally round the clock. But then you can take a break. And all of a sudden, if you want to take a long weekend with your kids or take an extra vacation, you can do that. You have the flexibility, hopefully, to pull away. So it's a great career, and it was fun growing up with my mom and her old listing books and the 12-ring binders clicking away at night.
The listing books. We didn't even have an MLS.
My mother would carry around these monstrous books in these bags every night, and she'd pick me up from school, and she would drag me to all these open houses, and I could pull right up and say, oh, 800,000, $1.2 million, $1.5 million. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, but I just got used to the real estate and what she was doing, and it was fascinating. And now it's really cooking with social media. So I congratulate you on what you are doing on your podcast, on Coffee with Alex.
Thank you.
You are doing it right, and you already are leading all these realtors to really make an impact in South
Definitely
Florida.
trying. We want to make an impact.
Congrats.
Well, we can't wrap up yet. I have one question. Are we wrapping up?
Time's up. The
All right,
newscast is almost over.
I cannot let you go without asking you this question.
What?
Critique me. You have
Critique.
Laurie Jennings live.
Okay.
I know we're wrapping up, and there's people behind us telling us we got to go. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We cannot end without this question being answered. Tara, I love critique. I am the #1 podcast in the world. I'm just not there yet, but I am. So if you were to critique, we talked a little bit about the intro and the logo. We talked about posture. I do realize after you said that to me on the phone, I hunch over a lot. What other feedback could you give me about improving the quality of the show?
We did the makeup.
We got the
You've
makeup.
got to have the look right. You dressed beautifully today, so you're all set. Normally, this white shirt is fine, but they say in television, believe it or not, don't wear stark white. You don't want stark white and often black. The two ends of the color spectrum are a little harsh.
My two favorite colors.
I know. It's a little harsh on TV. We can get away with black more than white.
Okay.
But normally do a little bit of an off-white shirt or a blue, any shade of blue. Buy yourself a bunch of shades of blue, because then you can wear them alone or under
Got
a
it.
suit. You've got great posture. I noticed on one of your other podcasts you kept fixing your shirt a little bit when you wear it open, and men tend to do that. They love lifting their collar.
Yes.
Again, your hands will get all the attention. Everyone's staring at my hand right now, see? So if you keep grabbing like that, just like if I kept fixing my hair, that's where the attention is going.
Got it.
Instead of on our faces and our
I have
eyes.
mirrored your hands the entire time. If your hands were down here, my hands were here. If
There
your
you
hands
go.
were here,
Well, see, that's
they were there.
good. And that's why too, like when you don't want to just be like this, right? You don't want to be here. Generally, for the news or for a presentation, just leave them flat, straight ahead. And the more, or if you're standing up, I think I'm going to be out of the shot. But if you're standing, before a speech, look in the mirror and just feel weights in your hands. Feel literally weights, like your fingers weigh 10 pounds each. And give the whole speech just like this. Look at yourself in the bathroom mirror, talk to your audience, talk to your realtors, and feel your hands just weighed down. Because once they're down and once you're comfortable standing like that, then all of a sudden when you do make a really strong point, or you say, I need everybody to attend to this, also to this, and I want the third team over here. Then your gestures are pointed and they're important, and you're not flailing all over the place.
I'm
right?
Cuban. Do you know how
You're
hard
Cuban.
that is? I'm
It's really hard.
And usually on Cuban coffee, so we're definitely doing that.
So
a
we
lot.
need 25-pound weights in your
There you
hands,
go.
okay? But that is my best advice. I tell people all the time, look in that mirror and practice what you're going to say, but practice it with your hands down and get comfortable with your own posture, with not using your hands so much and not slouching the shoulders and not doing certain things, so that then you can add in a few motions and you are ready for your presentation.
Now, Laurie, I know that after this interview, everyone's going to want to follow you. So where can they find you?
At Laurie Jennings Live. Everything now is under Laurie Jennings Live on my Instagram, my Facebook, my website, and you can contact me there.
There you go.
I can't wait to hear from everyone and to follow you again. Let's make a date for 6 months or a year from now. Let's see where we are.
Anytime. You have an open invitation to join the Closer Club. See, there you go, making the point.
There you go.
To join anytime. Laurie,
All right.
thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Alex.
I'm going to let her get the last word, but I'm going to say thank you all for watching. And Laurie, would you like to say
We
something?
return you to regular programming after our breaking news cut-in.
Thank you, guys.